what's really important is what is the purpose of your website, and that's going to tell you how you can get the most out of GA4. So, for example, if you have an e-commerce website, the one thing that I see all the time is that it's not the e-commerce portion and tracking is not set up correctly. The add to carts aren't done correctly. The view items aren't done correctly. Usually the purchase is done correctly, but often enough that even that is messed up. So if you're an e-commerce site, the first thing I would say is make sure you're tracking all those things super well. And there is a user journey on the e-commerce side that starts with the session, then add a view item, add to cart, purchase. And so you want to make sure that that whole section, that those actions, those events are tracked really well. If you're not an e-commerce site, there's still obviously a purpose to your website. It might be lead gen, whatever. So make sure that you're tracking those conversion points. There are some that are kind of built into GA4 by default. Ones that I can think of would be a file download or a YouTube view on your website. So we often mark conversion points when someone downloads a file or when they complete watching a video. The other thing that is really common is a form submission. That should be a conversion point too. And you really want to make sure that you define the conversions, the things that define the significant user interactions on your website, because there's a whole section of GA4 which is just focused on conversions. It's called the advertising section, which is kind of a misnomer because it does report on advertising, but it reports on every channel and how those channels feed into your conversions. So unless you have conversions defined, that whole section of GA4 won't be of use to you. So make sure you define your conversions. And then the next thing is beyond the form submissions, beyond the file downloads, beyond the video views, what are the things that are really important on your website? Make sure you define what those are. Make sure you set up custom events to track them. Make sure you create custom parameters to define those custom events. And then you'll be able to build information, you'll be able to build funnel reports or whatever on the significant user interactions on your website. Because what GA gives you out of the box is actually pretty rich. It's much richer than Universal Analytics was, but it doesn't know your website the way you do. So make sure you define the things that are really important for your website and track those in GA.